Hi guys, and welcome back to Alistair Davies Golf. Today I'm at Arbridge Golf Club with Jason McNiven from Golf Principles. Come down here to have a look at my golf equipment and have a look at getting all my stuff ready for the tournament season. Not that I'm going to play too much, but I want to make sure.
Sounds familiar.
I want to make sure that all my equipment, loft-wise, shaft-wise, type of shaft, is all going to be exactly what it should be to go with my current tailor-made equipment. So Jason is the foremost expert, I would say.
Thank you.
In the country, and I send a lot of my players to Jason to get their fittings done. As you'll see from some of the footage I'll show you for the room, you'll see there's a choice of hundreds.
300 or 400 shafts. Yeah, I mean the key is you're working with good players or less able players. It's optimising what you've got, what you're working on, what you're working towards. And for me, the sort of protocols are I work around the shaft working for you. Obviously, you have a preference of what you like head-wise, and that's great. And then working in that optimum window of launch and spin to what ball you're going to use this year, because the balls have changed this year. So for those of you out there who don't know, V1X and V1's changed. TP5X is on the market. You've got Chrome Soft X, you've got the new Z Stars. Crikey, there's lots of balls out there. So that's another discussion we can have. We can talk about wedging, distances, shafts in wedges. That's another big one that's going to come up now, is what shafts you have. And Johnson's using a different shaft to his iron shaft. And is that the reason why he's a better wedger than he was 18 months ago? It's a good point to discuss, and for us, we're a resource that the coach can always bounce into. You know, we don't give lessons, but we're here to advise and help his students and himself today, for once. And it's about him. It's about him getting better, and how do we make you better? And if you don't make a great swing, okay, how do we get less hurt? And that's the game, really. That's what we do. So it'd be interesting to see what you've got, where you're going, what you're trying to work on, and then you'll see from the content that Alistair's going to put together where this ends up, and it's going to be an interesting journey.
Yeah, I think one of the things I see with a lot of good players as well, just to make this point, is it's not always the clubs that work with you with good shots, is it? It's also how well the shaft and head and loft works with you with a slight mishit.
The launch monitors now are out there, right? There's lots of different ones. There's preferences left and right. We won't go into that. That's another discussion for another day. But optimization is key, right? Anyone can fit you for a good shot, right? The numbers, you can read the numbers, and that smash factor's perfect, that spin's good. That's easy. Compressing the bad shot near the good shot, that's the skill in the fitter. Dispersion coming in, distance control coming together, making that iron tight for dispersion. You don't miss a green because it's the shaft that's moving around on you. You don't miss a fairway in the jump because the driver shaft's a little bit long or a bit wobbly or a bit weak or too dead. Look, we want to make those, take the elements of the game away. You know, golf is a game of no surprises, good or bad. You know, you have to take that out of the equation. And it's about minimalising those errors, and that's where good coaching, good fittings, I say it works as parallel lines. You can't buy a golf game, for those of you out there who think you can, and you can't put in what God left out. You need good information going in and good coaching to get you better. But they work in parallels and stages, in my opinion. And that's where we, as a collective, if you like, or a resource, is really important. It's not dark arts and black magic, folks, right? It really isn't.
So keep watching. We'll show you some of the fitting process, and we'll come back to a summary of the equipment I'm going to go away, get fitted into my clubs, and start using.
Looking forward to it. So you can see here that your first shaft I tried was the Shimada. Swing speed is what you expect. Attack angle, not overly steep, slightly on the, will be almost on the shallow side, but that's fine. Up half slightly into it. You can see how you change the balance point, how your path can sometimes get warped, because it changes the way it feels and the way it comes out. Smack factor is great with an iron, 138 is good. I've taken it as an average. I've not given you any sort of favours here about what we're trying to do. And then you can see the ball speed jumps to 123, which is good. Launch angles come down. 17 is good for you. You're normally a little on the higher side. Spin rate's really good at 5.6. And your carry goes to 176, which is kind of where you want to be, which is not long, but where you want to be, which is good. And the nice thing is, if you go back to sort of the consistency front, the carries are all pretty good. You know, I've left in the poor shot, you flush one, miss one, that's okay. But you can see that as you change the shaft, that ellipse changes. When you get a good player, you often get the ellipse of short right and long left, that warped ellipse. Sometimes you can get the Holy Cross where it's north, south, east and west, where someone's missing it all over the show. That's the lesser player. The elite player will then get the ellipse, which is pretty long and thin, left and right, where his mechanics are a little bit out, but it's okay. And then you get the 5p piece where you go, got you. That's the elite scenario. And that actually is pretty good. You know, that there is, for someone who doesn't play a huge amount, that's really good. But you know golf's being inside out, so you know what to expect and what you can see. But the good thing for you now is that when you, if you like, go and play and pull the trigger, you know what you've got works. And so you don't have that surprise element of, well, that was a good shot, that was a poor shot, I wonder why that's happened. So you've got the confidence to go, right, I've got this all covered now, I feel really good. So that's what you're looking for out of shafts. Again, like I say, head-wise, you pick what you like the look of. You like the look of, you know, that 770, which is great. I'd go a little stronger. I'd go a little flatter for you, because in the past and traditionally, you've not liked that left miss, which you want to try and take that out. But again, I think you factored in the flat lie because of the shaft warping on you, and sometimes doing this on you, which is causing the lefts. But we've just toughened the tip up, moved the weight a little bit up, and all of a sudden, bingo jingo, you look pretty much spot on the money. So that's good. I mean, I don't know, do you carry 3-iron normally or not?
I have done until this last kind of 6 months. I put a 5-wood in and a rescue with this last 6 months.
Okay, again, with your mechanics being slightly on the shallower side, I would probably say it's a good call. I would say that you're better off going 4 to pitch, having a 3-wedge system going of a 50, 55, 60 or 54, 58, and then having the high B, possibly 5 with 3 with driver combo or of that ilk going in.
Put the 5-wood in last year, M2 one, it worked so well.
Yeah. I mean, for your mechanics, that's a really good call, because again, you know, it'll give you a lot more consistency. And then also, interesting, you might find that also hybrid for you goes left. The least lofted hybrids might be slightly hook bias for you.
Yeah.
So you feel that you can hit the 5-wood and cut it up and keep it more neutral. Whereas if you hit the hybrid, you might feel it wants to just go left and tail a little bit. That's what we see as good players tend to find that. So
it tends to happen,
yeah, we don't see many stronger players hitting hybrid, but yeah, perfect. So that works well. So get those sorted out, and then away you go.
Yeah.
Play a bit.
Yeah, it's all great.
Yeah, good. All right, perfect. Okay, so we've come to the end of the session. So it's interesting how it's worked out that Alistair's feel, which is the important part, he's working on some stuff with his swinging. He might talk about that later on during the vid, and it's personal to him, so you know, take it for what you see it as. But where the weight on the shaft is and how much the shaft weighs, very important for him. It was interesting. Once he went heavy and he went the weight towards the head, he was a lot worse. Once the weight got a little lighter and the weight balance point got higher, all of a sudden, bingo, start hitting it really good. Now look, we're both of a similar age group. We're not going to hit it as long as the young guys, right? But we want to be as efficient as possible. That's the key. How do we compete with guys that hit it 10 miles an hour faster than us? Okay, well, we're sneaky. We're going to be more efficient, right? So the shaft we ended up with was a V-Spec 110 kbs shaft, tip stiff, higher balance point, trying to manage the launch and spin for him. So he hits it a little bit lower, a little bit less spinny, because he does tend to pop it up a wee bit. I know he's linked, bred and born, but it does look like it pops a little bit for him. And again, strengthen the lofts a little bit. He doesn't like the left miss, as most good players don't. So again, make the lines a little flatter for him. I know he's not the tallest guy in the world-ish, but he still wants to be flatter, so he doesn't feel he can ever turn it over. We definitely looked at 4 to pitch, making the lofts a little stronger. I would advocate for us to go into a 3-wedge system, going 50, 55, 60, or 58, 54. We talked about that in terms of bounces and what he likes. If you're a good player out there, I would advocate you having a toolkit of wedges, if you can. So you've got a low bounce for the sort of hard pan summer, you've got a mid or high bounce for the winter or wet conditions, or if you change mechanics, depending on the coaching you get, you can change how it feels. I don't like it if you've got the same bounce on all 3 wedges. That doesn't give you any variation, in my opinion. So we spoke about that a little bit, which is good. And then moving up the bag, we put a hybrid back in, which was good for you. You liked hybrid. It was the club that you definitely moved towards over the years.
Yep.
You would have had 2-iron in the bag many moons ago.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, but it was good now. Hybrid was good. Slightly, actually, we changed the loft. We went from say 21 to a 19 because it needs to go to 220-ish. 21 just couldn't. It was close, but it wasn't all the time that way, was it?
Only my good ones got to about 218, didn't they?
Tops, and it was one of those weird ones where you said you want to go 220, 215 all the time, and it wasn't quite there. So we just got the loft down a little bit, and we got it. 3 and 5 was interesting. We used the same kind of mythology, if you like. Higher balance point, tip stiffer, hazardous handcrafted yellow. Those of you out there who don't know the difference, the handcrafted one's made in San Diego. It's a tighter tolerance, it's a tighter spec, and it will feel stronger. So if you look at the standard one on the shelf, it's a little bit twisty, a little torquier, a little softer. It's made in China as well, so it's a more mass-produced product. So that was the handcrafted one in the 3 and the 5. But driver's interesting. We changed the feeding of it. So for Alistair, again, we moved into a 60 gram or just under 60 gram shaft, the Acra Toy Extreme 455. 455 means it's 4 means it's tip stiff. Okay, so it's the same but different. Those of you out there who put the same shaft in every single wood, be very careful that doesn't quite work out normally. Some guys it does. I will say the odd exception, it does work. But normally you want to graduate the weight up as you go through the set. Wedges being the heaviest shaft, driver being the lightest, clearly. And normally it's a linear line of weight. You don't normally see a zigzag idea, okay? So if you've got a driver weight that's 75 grams and a fair weight that's 65 grams, that's unusual. It's not saying it doesn't work, it's unusual. Loft-wise, we kept him about 9.5. We were talking about the weight track on the M1, going backwards and forwards. He feels with the weight track back, it's much more stable. He likes that stability idea. I would kind of say to him, okay, well, let's just push it a touch forward now, and now he's stabilised the shaft. Could he use the weight track forward to kill some of the spin? That's a preference. Now, we're indoors, okay? So at A Bridge in Essex, where we are here, we're indoors, but we've also got the range outdoors. There's a thing called visual cement, as I call it. Some of the better players do want to see it physically go in the air and fly, and I call it visual cement. So sometimes, and that's what the beauty of this is, we can actually now put it together, go out in the range, hit a few and go, that's what I want to see. That's his final, if you like, blessing, consent to go, that's perfect. Some guys are great, they go, numbers are good, likes the way it feels, I'm good. But for those of you out there who are a bit, not say old school, but like that visual cement of seeing it fly, this is what could and should happen, or will happen now. And I think that's a big thing for you out there. That years ago we did demo days. I did Callaway. Those of you who know my history, I was out there slapping it around for years. You had literally balls, dodgy range balls on a range, hitting balls and saying that's quite good. And all you had was your eyes and your ears. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means now the numbers back up what we're saying. It's like coaching. You know, years ago coaches used to stand there, right, and they used to look at it and go, "Yeah, son, you're swinging too much to the right or too much to the left. Do this." They were probably pretty good. They were fantastic coaches, but they didn't have the physical cameras and the Trackmans of the world to back up what they're saying. We can now physically put some information to that to help you. But this is all about helping you get better or helping him get better. So,
yeah, as a lot of you know, my kind of motto is evidence. I love evidence. So using launch monitors with Jason, particularly today, when we changed the shaft point, the balance point, my path got worse. The balls went further right. So everything that Jason was telling me about what would happen with the shafts happened. So it kind of, the evidence is backed up by the data, and that's a really good way of using Trackman data. And I am a Trackman, master coach, but we don't teach and work wholly by that. It's a combination of everything, isn't it?
It's only a tool, right?
It's great to use for that evidence.
Absolutely, it's brilliant. And all it does, it backs up what we're saying is what's happening or what will happen. If you just use that as your only information, only eyes, then clearly you're missing something. I use it as a backup to say, look, this is what's going to happen now with the path or the face or the mechanics because the shaft has changed. You use it to change the mechanics to say this is what's going to happen. And that's what it's there for. It's and for guys like you who are watching Alistair's stuff, and if you like, sort of almost transporting it into your own games, take information, put it into your references, and then use that as a log, evidence, call it what you want, about what you're doing with your game. And that's the important part about this, is that You're trying to create a continuation, if you like, of improvement. Kaizen in Japanese manufacturing. You're always looking to get a little bit better. What have I done this week that was better than last week? I've changed my wedges. I've improved my wedge game, or I've improved my driver last month. Always try and see if you can maintain that rate of improvement. And it can be small things, right? It can be one less putt around. It's huge, right? Look at those information and use that knowledge, if you like, as a reference point, and use that, if you like, as a backup to what you're doing is good or bad. Guessing is very dangerous. That's what I would say.
Yeah, 100%. So I think the take-home message from this video is make sure you get a fitting. Ideally get a fitting off someone that knows what they're doing, like Jason. Go to a place that's got all the right equipment, so it's got options for you. So it's not just a case of it's one shaft or two shafts. They've got 2, 3 different shafts. Options.
Absolutely. I'm really paranoid. People will come and you've got almost too much choice. Well, that's never a bad thing in my world. If that's labelled at me, great. I want to see as much choice as I can. I want a toolbox this big and not this big. And that's the one thing about us, whether it's various brands and I want as many options as possible. I don't want to be classed as paranoid that I want more options, because I want to be able to give that player, I know that's the best setup for them, and then right, away you go. And for those who don't know, we did it we worked with Charlie Hull, and we did it for Charlie. She's all of a sudden gone from being, she's a talent, but now all of a sudden a winning talent, not just someone that keeps coming second. Why? She hits more fairways, she hits more irons closer, and that's what we're trying to do. That's one example of how you can take someone's game at an elite level and still improve. That's the key. So,
yeah. So great. That's the take-home message. Go out and get fit, ideally with Jason down at one of his facilities.
Yeah,
if not, find somewhere else that can do the same if you're in the States, for example. But I'm sure if you do email Jason, he might be able to point you somewhere.
We're happy to help. We're a resource here to happy to help.
If you're not in this country,
you
might be able to help.
Some strange folks from all over the world, but that's fine. The key message here, for those of you, all parts of the world, is to understand your strengths and weaknesses and how can you improve those and take that error rate, for want of a phrase, out of the equation. Put the odds in your favour and not just hope, because hope is not a method.
Cool. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please click like down below. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I've got regular content coming every week on a variety of subjects, as you can see today. And post any comments in the box, especially any questions you have for me or Jason. And thanks for watching. And thanks, Jason.
Thank you for watching.